Wake Up Call with Benji Snead continues on 92.3 The Hub, the voice for freedom.
Good morning, Lubbock and West Texas. Welcome to the program this morning, 7:50 a.m. You're listening to the Wake Up Call. Phone and text lines are open this morning, 806-771-0923. 806-771-0923. We've been sifting through all of these items that have made news out of City Council yesterday, and we're going to unpack some of that. Welcome to the studio this morning, Mayor Pro Tem, Dr. Jennifer Wilson. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for coming in.
Of course. Thanks for having me here. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate your being here and all the insight we're gonna get from you. First of all, Dolly Parton fan?
Yes. I mean, she was a little bit older than my generation,
right.
But man, she's kind of queen of country music.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great historic story growing up. So
yeah.
We lost a legend yesterday.
We've been doing the top 10 or so Dolly Parton quotes. Some of them, I had to look up some alternatives. Some of them you wouldn't want to read on the radio. Did you hear the very next hurricane before she died was named Dolly?
No, I didn't. Well, I mean, I guess probably didn't even think about it, but yeah, that's right.
That was on we confirmed it this morning. So if this tropical depression, I think they're calling it, turns into a hurricane out in the Atlantic, they're going to...
It'll be
I say keep it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because she was a hurricane. She was a force to be reckoned with, man.
Apropos for that with her passing. So all these networks have been... the Today Show hosts are wearing dolly wigs this morning. So
that's so funny. I mean, she definitely was a legend and worth worth honoring in all forms.
And then they said, I mean, who intentionally does this? She wrote and recorded a song and said, "Don't release this to my 100th birthday." So we're going to hear more from Dolly.
We're definitely going to hear more from Dolly.
Yeah. Okay, we like to trick our guest into coming in 10 minutes early so we get an extra segment out of you.
I mean, it sounds good to me.
Here you are.
That's good. I'm never on time, so I give you some extra time this morning.
Well, it's not like you don't have a real job in addition to the city business that you're busy taking care of as a doctor. We'll talk about how you balance all that here in a little bit, but let's just kind of sift through some of this. Let's start with data centers. This petition, council accepted it yesterday. That doesn't mean you're going to adopt it, correct?
That's correct. So just accepting the petition yesterday meant that they followed all the rules of the petition and that they received the adequate amount of validated signatures. And so that's just, we accepted that they completed all of that. Doesn't mean that anything comes from it yet.
So what will happen here is eventually, so there's a public hearing on the 8th. Mm-hmm. And then a vote would follow to do what exactly?
So at that point, then we either vote to accept the moratorium or we reject the moratorium petition as is.
Right.
And then their initiating committee would have the choice then to take that to the voters in May.
So a vote to accept it does not trigger an election.
That's correct. A vote to accept it would just say we accept their petition as is. The problem with that and kind of what we discussed yesterday in council is that the petition as is, an 18-month moratorium, is actually against state law. And so even if we were to say, yes, we accept it, it's completely unenforceable.
All right. You beat me to it. I've got to ask. That's the first I've heard of that. Has that been a part of the discussion all along?
So, no, I think city attorney's office, I'm not sure how long they have been aware. We found out way after the petition process started, probably within the last couple of weeks to a month, as they started digging deeper into what this would look like, especially after they got the validated signatures and realized that the state of Texas put into law that the longest you can do a moratorium on business is 90 days, within the option after that first 90 days to extend it an additional 90 days.
So it's not specific to data centers, it's business.
Right.
90 days.
And it's just on like residential and commercial property. It is very laid out in the state statute on how that works to do a moratorium. And so we couldn't, I said, even if we accept it, it makes it almost a moot point that you can't enforce it.
Yeah, moot point was going to be my comment. So it's kind of maybe pointless. It sounds like you can't. Your hands are tied.
That's correct. So now what can happen, and what I would like to see happen, and what we've kind of discussed and we mentioned briefly yesterday, is potentially maybe bring something that would just say Lubbock is not going to do any or consider any hyperscale data projects until we have our development standards in place, which were presented at that public meeting. Those will have to go to P&Z. And so that's already planned for them to go to P&Z in September. So once those are in place, and then we got to get through the state legislation session, because I guarantee you there's going to be more discussion on this during the session. And so nothing is going to happen. The governor's already kind of put a stop on everything until they get into session and they can figure out if they're going to do anything, if they're going to put any type of legislation in place to help regulate large hyperscale data centers.
Gotcha. Can we have discussions, entertain proposals, and still be in compliance with the governor's order?
I think so. I think you could consider them, but they're not going to be able, actually, as in having a conversation with data center projects.
Right.
So you could, but they're kind of, like I said, they're at a stop because there's no electricity going to be connected until he,
Good point.
Yeah, until he allows them to connect through the PUC into ERCOT. And so could discussions happen? Yes. Have they all completely ceased? Yes. There is nobody currently looking inside the city limits.
Well, if I've got an option, I wouldn't be looking at Lubbock either with all the conversation.
For sure. Even if they were previously, they have, all of the conversation would have run them off.
So is it fair to say we probably won't see any movement in terms of data centers being approved to start construction in Lubbock until next year at the earliest?
I mean, if they were ready to rock and roll today, I would even think that's early.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair. Do you think, are the governor's, is the governor's criteria outside of his order to, cease activity there, is it clear on the criteria in terms of power usage, demand, water, and all of that, or should Lubbock have its own?
So I'm not sure, and I don't want to speak to exactly what the governor's criteria is because I'm honestly not certain if he has laid out what he considers hyperscale, but we have. We definitely laid it out as in a center that would use more than 100,000 gallons of water per day or 100 megawatts power. And so we have already set forth our criteria. Now those are the criteria, along with a lot more stipulation, is what's going to planning and zoning. So we can have our own development standards. Now that could be changed if the government sets something more stringent at the session. Okay. So my guess is it's probably going to be close, but it could be different.
Okay. Moving on. I'll move on after this. Did you happen to catch James Arnold on the program yesterday? That was very insightful.
No, I was not. I had a meeting yesterday morning. Tell me what was going on.
Yeah, so had the thought. So he was in Lubbock banking for 30 years. He's been in Abilene for 3 months. One of the more unique perspectives, I would think, with that scenario. I think we should be taking notes from everything he's observing right now. But we'll get into more of that after the break. Visiting with Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Jennifer Wilson this morning. More with her and city business after the top of the hour as we enter into the final hour of the Wake Up Call. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We'll be back.
Wake Up Call with Benji Snead continues on 92.3 The Hub, the voice for freedom.
Good morning, Lubbock. Good morning, West Texas. Getting a little bit more out of our open music with Dolly. We've had that song at the top of the hour for months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's our show open.
I don't guess I even realized that.
Yeah, it's at the top of the hour, gets us going in the morning. So I thought we'd let it play out a little longer today in honor of Dolly Parton. Visiting with Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Councilwoman Jennifer Wilson. We were talking about all the titles you have. What do you prefer?
I mean, just plain old Jennifer's just fine. Yeah. I mean, every time I tell people that, they're like, yeah, no, I can't say that.
Patients a little different.
Patients are a little different.
Yeah. I'm just going to call you Doc.
Yep. Well, so we were joking during the break that my ICU nurses scream Jay Will coming down the hallway, and so I mean everybody's got a title for me. Some of them better than others.
Depends on the relationship. How you take it. Okay, let's get through this part because I'm not sure I understand all of what's been reported here, but. New Councilman Tim Green for District 4 is one of his first meetings, jumping out there yesterday saying he did not like the agreement through this meet and confer process that was presented by the police and the fire yesterday. What do you understand about what would his alternative be?
So his alternative would be completely just throw out their meet and confer agreement, which currently, just so we can kind of line it out, is a 5% pay raise for police, 10 new patrol officers, and then there's some other details in there, some of the most important being how they are able to hire some of those new officers with their lateral hiring program versus going through the normal civil service program, which means they have to take a test and they have to go through all the basic academy, just like normal. So in the previous meet and confer agreement from last year, it allowed them to have some different hiring processes that brought in new officers. So multiple things in that agreement. I have not seen the official agreement all the way through, but there's multiple things that are in there that could be effective. Yeah,
and I didn't hear about the what effectively affect the hiring process. I don't think that was reported. I wasn't at the meeting, but
so that we didn't really talk about that. And so what Councilman Green wanted was a no agreement, like just to do like we would have normally done if we were not in the meet and confer process, which is give them whatever kind of COLA raise, which would have been 3%. That is also offered up for all city employees, and no new officers.
Okay. It's 3%. Do you know the inflation rate in Lubbock?
It is between 2 and 3. I think we're right around there. I need to look. Then that may be a total lie. I may have just pulled that right out of my butt.
Well, I was thinking more like 5 lately. We need to look it up.
I don't know. I don't think it's that high.
Brendan can pull it.
Maybe it is.
Point being, is 3% enough? Is 5% enough? Because a COLA raise by definition should offset the increased cost of living. Right.
As well as make sure that we maintain them at least at the 50th percentile for the state. And so it's not necessarily just the COLA. It is to make sure that we can stay competitive out here in West Texas and recruit and retain good officers.
Yeah. How do you feel overall? I mean, you guys are coming down to the wire to have to get a tax rate and a budget out there. How do you feel about the budget overall in terms of meeting the needs of the community?
So I think the city manager did a really great job this year presenting the budget. We have been very, very tight over the last several years on the budget, ensuring that we're still able to provide essential city services, but keeping that tax rate as low as possible to try to, especially coming out of COVID when inflation was, just through the roof high, really trying to do our best to help the citizens of Lubbock.
Yeah.
But that does mean that sometimes when you do that, you start to get behind in certain departments and when you make big cuts. And so you have to balance that. And I think city manager did a great job presenting a budget this year. There was a couple of things in there that were maybe, a little bit over the ask of what I think we needed, but not much. We keep it pretty bare bones every year. And so it did a good job. I think the hardest pill to swallow is the 2 big meet and confer agreements it's going to equate to a tax increase. There's no way to do that and support public safety and actually get what they need without having to raise our taxes a little bit.
Yeah. And I've always said in terms of tax being raised, no new revenue rate, all this, I don't know where a lot of my tax dollars go. So when you come out and say this is going to public safety, that's hard to argue with. But do you think there's other places to cut to allow for not as big of an increase?
So, and that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And so for sure, I went and sat with the city manager and I'm like, please tell me, I know you want everything. Obviously, it's his budget. He wants everything that's in there. I said, tell me things that it's not going to affect the service that we provide this year. And so we had already looked at cutting an emergency management position that he's like, I definitely can do without this one. We don't need it this year. It can come on next year or the year after. That's okay. So starting to look at things like that to try to whittle that down to the lowest possible number, but also supporting public safety.
Yeah. Public safety, number one.
Number one.
Well, everybody runs on it, but when it comes down to fund it, that's where the hard work.
That's the hard part. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can justify it and you can go out and you can tell people, here's what it's paying for, you can lay it out and be very transparent, most people support it. It's when you don't talk about it and you're like, oh, it's just public safety. They're like, well, what does that even mean? What is all, and people start looping in things into public safety that probably aren't public safety.
It's kind of, I'm liking it to these school bond elections. When's the last time you heard of one of them failing?
Exactly.
When's the last time a school district went without anything? So, all right, I want to ask you back to the data center thing, and then I'll ask you about the civic center vote yesterday. But so have you thought through to the point to where we get to the point let's say you're still in there when we get to a point to make a decision on data center proposals and requests, that the amount of revenue astronomical, not in a lot of ways, if you look at Abilene, not necessarily a good thing, because that's all the bottom's going to fall out of that when the construction stops in a lot of ways. Have you thought about where those millions could be used if we got to that point?
So, I think the best way to look at the data center revenue would be big one-time expense asks. You don't want to, I think, integrate it into your budget for reoccurring expenses. Like we're like, oh man, we're going to have this year over year forever. So we're going to do something like salary-wise, some things that you're going to need that money for every single year. So if you have big one-time projects, I mean, you want to build a big new road, right? That's things that can be used on. If you want to put money into a convention center, I mean, you're looking at big projects that you're like, okay, we're scraping together pennies from the couch cushion to make sure we get these things going, but yet we don't want to raise taxes. Those are things that big growth revenue can fund. You
don't want to paint yourself in a corner. And one of the things James Arnold said yesterday when I think I asked him something, what advice would you give a city like Lubbock, who's yet to pull the trigger on it, one of the few, of the top, the top 21 data center cities in terms of, the ones that create this huge electricity demand. Lubbock is the only one out of the top 21 that doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what James said yesterday was, I thought it was good advice. I think that's what you're saying here, which is don't create reoccurring programs that are annual based off that, because when the money goes away, what are you going to do? Right. And then you have to cut service. Right. And we don't want to get into that. It's like somebody that's never had any money in their life gets a huge influx of it. And you go spend it all on one thing, and then you're broke. You change your lifestyle and money goes away and you can't afford it. So exactly. I want to ask you about the we've got 1 minute left. Hope we get to this. Hotel taxes in the Civic Center. What did we created the PFZ? Is that the same thing the state allowed? Yeah. So it's through the legislative process. So they did their PFZ. All we did was trigger it. Yeah, and that triggers a 5-year deadline. Yes. We've either got to build or we lose that. Yep. It all goes back to the state. Any change in terms of timeline on when we might actually have an election to increase the hotel motel tax? So definitely think sometime next year. Okay. Very good. Visiting with Dr. Jennifer Wilson, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilwoman Extraordinaire, this morning on the Wake Up Call, 8:16 a.m. Back with more after the break.
Wake Up Call with Benji Snead continues on 92.3 The Hub, the voice for freedom.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the program. Brennan, don't make me laugh. 8:20 a.m. We're visiting with Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Jennifer Wilson this morning. Thanks for being here.
I'm trying to keep you on your toes, Benji, this morning.
Somebody's got to do it. It's a hard job right there.
That is. Just keeping
him in line.
On point this morning. So what else is going on? You're a doctor. You have a practice. You see patients every day, I would think. Not every day. So I don't do clinic. So I don't have a clinic office. I'm a hospitalist. So I take care of sick kiddos in the hospital.
but also heavily involved in the medical school and the medical education side of it. So probably 75% of my time or more is dealing with medical students, setting up training environments. And I specifically run the Covenant-based campus. So working with our Covenant administration to ensure good medical education.
Still, huge responsibility. It takes a lot of time. You also happen to be Mayor Pro Tem of the city of Lubbock. Here's a gratuitous question. If you hadn't thought about it out there, how do you balance that and stay sane?
Sane, that's always been questionable.
Debatable.
It's always been questionable, debatable. No, unfortunately, I live and die now by the calendar on my phone.
Yeah.
And people are probably thinking, why are you constantly looking at your phone? Because I literally have to look at that calendar probably 40 times a day. Like, where am I next? Where am I next? Where am I next? What am I doing? What is going on today? And even then, sometimes I'm like, missed something.
Yeah.
But you really do have to find balance, especially with council. There are so many events that happened every single day between ribbon cuttings and new businesses opening and people wanting special recognitions and meetings, and that you could literally do this as a full-time job. And so you have to find balance.
To do it right, it is a full-time.
Yes.
And you get paid, what, $40 a month or something?
I get paid a big fat zero because I'm a state employee. And so I can't take money from the state in two different capacities.
I didn't realize that.
So I do this 100% for free. I joke and say it's a good ego check to be able to take the getting punched on the end of the nose every day by the citizens of Lubbock for free.
For free.
For free.
Thankless job anyway, I would think, in a lot of ways. Are you happy with the direction the city's going?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's always contentious politics that we've talked about, like during the break. There's always going to be something that people are upset about. And I think once you can learn that you can't make everybody happy, but you can just do the best for the future of Lubbock and for, the citizens of the city in general, you stay pretty happy. And I think we got a great team, great staff, great city manager who has got good vision, everybody that's from here and invested in Lubbock, Texas. And so I'm pretty happy with the direction that we're going.
Good. I didn't mention earlier, you also have kids.
I do.
Raising kids.
Got two of them. Well, luckily they're getting bigger. I've got one that's 20. That's in college at Tech.
There you go.
And then I've got one that, oh my goodness, she turns 16 here in a couple of weeks. So
God bless
we
you.
have been also amongst the things on my calendar teaching a 15-year-old how to drive.
I was going to say, is she driving yet?
She is driving, not by herself yet, but we're almost there. She takes her driving test on September the 16th.
What's her personality like? More you or more dad?
She's got a lot of me in her. She's probably a little nicer than I am. She's not quite as mean. But man, it's starting. She is almost 16, so it's coming out. It's coming out, that attitude.
I don't know that I've seen the business side of you yet.
Well, it's a good thing.
I've heard stories.
Yeah, there are probably lots of stories out there.
But
I was like, my husband could probably give you a few.
Yeah. How about our police department? How do you feel like Chief's doing?
Man, I think the Chief's doing great. I have watched such a tremendous increase in morale in our police department with Chief Herman coming in. He's got such a good vision. He's such a cop's cop, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. He's got a lot of crassness to him, which I appreciate. Sometimes, in those department head level positions, they get a little too political, a little bit too diplomatic. And I think having a little bit of crassness goes a long way in the police department.
Yeah.
I think he's got wonderful vision. He's looking to make LPD the best department in the state. And if you're not here to do that, then what are you here for? So I think he's doing a great job. Crime's down. It has been going down every year. I heard him the other day. 12% per year. And that's just a testament to the hard work that he puts in and that all of our officers put in.
I was going to say he's a pretty congenial guy.
Very much
a little
so.
dry, but if you once he loosens up, he's actually really funny.
Oh God, he's so funny.
We had him on the program, and he would make little remarks with a straight face. I would be laughing at my own jokes, but he's good that way.
He's hard to read until you get to know him, and then he's hilarious.
Yeah, but proof's in the pudding. I mean, you said it, crime's down. Do you think, and we know these, I forget what we call them, neighborhood police stations, policing process was all, in full force before Chief got here. You think that's working? Can we attribute some of the crime decrease to that system?
I mean, probably. Yeah. I think that it's a multifaceted, decrease. It's not just one thing or another. But I really think you have to believe in your leader to be invested in your job. And I'm not saying that they ever weren't invested, but, if you're unhappy, the work tends to be different. And I think that...
Ooh, well said.
Yeah, the morale is just so good that, I'm not going to say they enjoy coming to their job every single day.
Who
but
does?
I think they do. And I think they put in such an amazing effort, and they really do care about the citizens of Lubbock and making sure Lubbock's the safest place in Texas.
I did speak to one of Lubbock's finest. He was on duty at this data center public hearing you guys had a while back. I asked him, I said, so how's the new chief? Oh man, he just loves him, and they just rave reviews, and he talked about morale. And so it's one thing to hear, to manage up and say, oh, he's doing a great job with morale. But when you hear from the rank and file saying the same thing, he's doing something right. We're going to have him back on, by the way. All right, Dr. Wilson, how long are you going to keep doing this?
Oh, my gosh. I don't know. After yesterday's meeting, I might have said once or twice, I'm ready to resign. But, I take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure this last time if I was going to rerun, but I still had some things I wanted to see through, especially with downtown, our convention center, Lake 7. There's so many things that I felt super invested in that it was really hard to just kind of take that step away. But who knows?
Yeah.
No promises.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to quit asking. Let's talk about Lake 7.
Okay.
Give me your take on. I want kind of both sides, the good, and then I won't call it bad, but the cost of it and the impact that's going to have on taxpayers. But let's start with your take on what is Lake 7.
Yeah, so Lake 7 is our future lake that is both recreational and the next large water source for the city of Lubbock. Tremendous project, very expensive project. $500 million is kind of around the number, so massive project. But you've heard it with the conversations of data centers. Water is one of the most important assets we can have out here in West Texas.
No
if you don't have water, you do have nothing.
Right.
And so we've got to continue to secure our water. City manager's got a great plan. I know that number sounds staggering, but a great kind of stair-stepped up and down plan to ensure that rates don't jump just off the chart when it comes to water usage. And so you stair-step on how you kind of bring that budgeting in. But man, we are chugging right along and right on schedule to be able to have water in the lake, I believe, starting to fill it up by 2032.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is the timeline there? So when will have we already kind of vacated the activity on that ranch already?
So yes, there's still one tenant down there that's just kind of living where the house is, and he comes and goes. I don't think he's living there permanently. Still leasing out some of the land. There's still a little bit of cattle on there.
Okay.
And so, but any large scale activity's already been stopped.
Get those cows out of there before you fill that lake up.
It's definitely time to get them out. No, we're not quite there yet, but man, we are chugging along. We're at the federal level, waiting on permit stuff and environmental studies, but it is moving along quicker than we've ever thought it would.
Red tape phase.
Yes, red tape phase. Well, it's been in that phase for a long time. Now we're just into the federal red tape versus the state red tape.
By definition, it takes a long time.
It does.
8:29 a.m. visiting with Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Jennifer Wilson this morning. More after the break. First, Fox News, local news, and weather. We'll be back on the other side.
Wake Up Call with Benji Snead continues on 92.3 The Hub, the voice for freedom.
Good morning, Lubbock. Welcome back to the program. Welcome to the program if you're just joining us. Visiting with Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Jennifer Wilson this morning. Good morning again. Good morning. If you have a question, comment, you want to complain to Mayor Pro Tem about anything, you can do that here, 806-771-0923. We love the folks that call and complain on a job you do for free.
I mean, it's my favorite. It's what I do every day.
We take for granted sometimes folks, know what I say what we know. I keep up with a lot of stuff. Obviously, you're right in the middle of it. But for folks that don't realize, what is the job of Mayor Pro Tem?
So, I mean, basically, I'm a glorified assistant. No, not really. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
I get a similar sensation sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Mayor Pro Tem is really meant to be kind of the mayoral backup.
Okay.
And so, if Mark is unable to lead a meeting or be somewhere, then it's something along those lines. If he's not here, then I step in kind of as his backup.
I've seen you do that.
Yeah. And so, but it's more of a title than anything, but I get to do the Pledge of Allegiance at the meeting. So there's that. But I mean, really, if Mark is not here, he is out of town, I'm the presiding officer over the meeting, a lot of recognition stuff, trying to be at, events, cutting ribbons, special
certainly
recognitions.
puts a heavier load on you in terms of community engagement and being out there.
Right.
And no, I've seen you lead those meetings. Plus, I would think there's an unstated kind of hierarchy within the council. If you're mayor pro tem,
you tend to be more involved.
Yeah, more involved. What's the, in your opinion, what's the biggest? Let's take data centers off the table. I'm tired of them. Tired of data centers hijacking our show. What do you think the biggest challenge facing Lubbock is right now?
Honestly, probably engagement. We see a lot of voter apathy. Numbers continue to go down every election. I think the biggest challenge that we're facing is a lot of things that are going to come from the state level. And I love our state legislators. I really support our local delegation from here.
Sure.
But some of the politics that's driving some of the things at the state, the eliminate property taxes and stuff, it sounds fantastic.
Right.
The concept of we don't want to be taxed to death, I agree with. And I really do agree with that. The premise of it is a lot harder than just eliminate property taxes. And so a lot of it we hear in politics, and then it kind of drives a wedge between our state delegation and us, because we still have to be able to fund the things that we fund here locally, which is police, which is fire, which is your trash, which is water, electricity, things that we do here locally.
Right.
And when you go in and say, well, we're just going to eliminate property taxes. Well, yeah, that sounds great. But then how are we going to be able to fund stuff here? Or we're going to put a cap on it, or we're going to let the citizens vote on everything. Well, we're not a true democracy. We're a democratic republic. And that means that we have elected officials that represent you.
Time out.
Yeah, I know. So you want to know what faces Lubbock. This is coming. And so when we see voter apathy, and all of that's lead in back into voter apathy, when you see a city of nearly 300,000 people and only 2,000 people show up to vote in something, you're
7%.
Yeah. I mean, you're having a 6 to 7% turnout to vote for everything. And if the state wants you to come out and vote for every single fire station, every road, every new cell at the city dump, nobody's going to get out and vote anymore.
Right.
And so I do worry about that. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges we're going to face in the next couple of years.
That's good. And you know what's even more sad, I think, that we predict the smaller outcomes.
Yeah.
The voter turnout, that is. And I was surprised at the District 4 runoff turnout.
I was too. It was more than I thought.
Way over-indexed what everybody was. Even Roxanne Stinson at the elections office was surprised at how many folks.
But even then, when we're surprised that 2,000 people show up.
Case in point.
And when there's, 50,000 in that district? I mean, that's sad.
Yeah. Give me some insight. Don't have to talk issues, but take me inside executive session when council members strongly disagree. Who's the peacemaker? What's your approach to finding common ground?
Ooh, the peacemaker. I don't know. It depends on the issue.
Trying to stir it up this morning.
Yeah, you are. So for sure, we have a lot of different personalities on this council. And I'm gonna put on my diplomatic hat for a minute. We have a lot of different personalities, and sometimes we all, I think, serve in the role as peacemaker. It just depends on what the issue is. Some of us get a little bit more hot-headed than others.
You put yourself in that category?
Yeah, sometimes. No, I'm definitely not the most hot-headed on this council. But I mean, you sometimes you just have to find common ground, and then you got to go and have conversations like, what is your goal? Let me help you get to that goal. What is the goal? Sometimes not knowing what other people's goals are. And is it something political? Is it, this is what I'm looking for. I just want to be heard. Is it, this is something I want to see for my district only? I mean, there's so many different goals. It's hard to say that one person is going to solve all of that.
Right.
And so other times you just have to go, I disagree. And sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. One good thing I think this council is good about doing is trying to not hate each other all the time. We can come back together and still be okay. Even if we agree to disagree on something.
Yeah,
we can still be civil.
You strike me as the why person in the group.
Yes.
You keep asking that question over and over, you're going to get down to something, right?
I like to know why.
Yeah.
I'm 100%. Explain to me why you want something.
Yeah. It's
And if you don't have a good logical reason, then I'm out.
I remember when I was a kid asking for things, and my dad would just ask me why, and then I would answer. Then he would say why, and before I know it, I boiled down to talking myself out of it altogether. So it's a good.
It's a good actually leadership. I think there's actually a teaching mechanism that uses, I think they call it like the 6 whys or 7 whys. You just keep saying why over and over again. And,
maybe that's where I heard it.
Yeah, and you let somebody just explain themselves right out of it or right into it. Either way.
Yeah, I've experienced that as a child at least. All right, Lubbock's approaching, 300,000?
Yes.
Are we prepared for that kind of growth?
I think we are. I think we have to be very proactive, and you've got to stay on top of stuff and not get behind like I think we had done on, some infrastructure things in the past. Yeah, roads for sure. I think you have to be able to plan for that, and we know what's coming. Somebody said yesterday in the council meeting, there's absolutely, I think it was Roger Settler said, there's no way that we can get to 500,000. And I 100% disagree. It's coming. And I think as we continue to sell Lubbock as a wonderful place to live, and we all have good, fairly decent conservative values, we're headed there. Right. We just have to be proactive about it.
Got it. All right. Rank these things in order of priority. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'll write them down if you want. There's 4.
Okay.
Other than the something else category. Priorities for you, most urgent and important concerns. Is it roads, water, public safety, utilities?
I would say out of biggest concern.
Public safety doesn't have to be at the top.
Right, because I actually think we're doing really good from a public safety standpoint. So I would put that at 4.
Okay.
And then my other are roads, utilities, and water. So I would say water, utilities, and then roads.
Okay.
Only because we have got to be able to secure our water. Water's number 1. I actually think we're doing okay. We're moving well. There's some big financial concerns coming after Lake 7 on having to deal with Cremwa 2.
Yeah.
And so there's still a lot of contention there on when that is going to happen. I think we've maybe kind of dialed that back a little bit.
Yeah.
Utilities only because I'm not sure what's going to happen at the state level with PUC. I do worry about ERCOT. I do worry about, all of us being on one grid system. I mean, we're not all there yet. It's not 100% of the state, but the demand on that as we bring new businesses in, we have to be able to focus on generation. That is definitely not at the local level. That's at state and higher and federal level, but more state. Generation of power. We got to make sure we secure our stability of the grid. So utilities from that, and then roads, I think we just got to stay on funding roads and staying on a consistent schedule, and we'll be okay.
You think we're going to need another road bond?
I absolutely we will. Yeah. I don't know if we're there within the next year or 2, but we will need another one.
Well, when you go into the first out of the 2 previous ones, 13 years behind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
that's the problem is we just got behind, so it felt like a big whammy up front.
Right.
But I think if we stay on a good, consistent schedule and we show the citizens that we will complete every project that we say we're going to, you buy that trust back, and then you stay on a good schedule on how to build them.
That's a good point. And I don't remember if it was you on the program or who it was, but I did a little research on the city website. Y'all keep up with that really well, better than you ever have in terms of
that was a directive that we put with the city manager and city staff. Like, we want it out there. We want exactly when they're going, move forward, where they're at, and when we complete them. As
Dusty Womble would say, well done.
Well done.
8:46 a.m. We'll wrap it up with Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Jennifer Wilson after the break. Stay with us.
Wake Up Call with Benji Snead continues on 92.3 The Hub, the voice for freedom.
Good morning. Welcome back to the program. If you're just joining us, welcome to the program this morning. We've had a lovely conversation with the good Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Jennifer Wilson this morning. 78 degrees outside right now, on our way to a hot 95.
I will take 95. That's better than 100.
Isn't that crazy? It's the consistent days of 100 plus that just beat you down.
Yep, walking into the pizza oven.
Yeah, I mentioned we had James Arnold on yesterday, and I was doing the high. It was going to be like 105 that day. And he came on. He said, I got no sympathy. It was 108 in Abilene today. So, and how about these fires up in down in Palo Pinto County? Have you seen all that? That's kind of scary.
It's very scary.
We talked about growth we talked about population. You ranked the infrastructure. And I said during the break, isn't it interesting how the things at the bottom of the priority list or things that were doing really well that were probably higher on the priority list when you first got in there?
They were, for sure.
Yeah. What do you want Lubbock to look like in 10 years?
Wow. That's a big question. That's a heavy question, Benji, for 8 o'clock in the morning.
Take your time.
What do I want Lubbock to look like? I want it to look like a thriving city. Mm-hmm. I really want to see downtown grow.
Okay.
We see the growth everywhere else. I live in Southwest Lubbock, and I love it. Love watching things, new businesses come in, down Milwaukee, moving out, 114th Street, all the way, Loop 88 section's open. Yeah. Businesses are going to start popping up all along there. But really, I want to see us have a thriving downtown. Mm-hmm. That starts with some of the businesses already there. It starts with Lita, it starts with some of the facade, some redoing some of the older infrastructure down there. We just broke ground on Broadway, but man, the convention center project is top of my list.
I have to remind myself what a smooth, I work on Broadway, what a smoother ride I'm going to have.
I know.
Because right now it takes me 15 minutes just to find a parking space over there. Not complaining, Mayor Pro Tem, just saying that it's progress. That's an answer to a subject we've been talking about for 30 years in Lubbock. Do you think there's momentum there, or what do we need to do to keep it going?
Well, and I said this, and I can't remember, Benji, if you went or if you saw it online at the Broadway groundbreaking. I didn't believe in downtown 4 years ago.
Yeah,
I didn't.
That.
I really didn't.
Interesting.
And maybe not because I didn't. I think maybe I was just ignorant. And I didn't think about it. Growing up on the southwest side of town, I was focused in my neighborhood, and here's all the growth, and it looks all great, and it's shiny, and it's new, and I went to tech, but I didn't go downtown a lot. My perception of downtown growing up, my mom was an attorney, and she worked in the courthouse. It was all lawyers, and that's where the courthouse was. All the law offices were downtown.
People don't go down there.
Yeah, people don't go down there unless we had to go down there for my mama's work. That's what I grew up with.
I get it.
But when I sat with John Osborne and I was like, convince me, sell me on it. And he did on youth staying from Texas Tech, and younger generations want that thriving downtown. When we welcome new business owners, people are coming in here looking at sites for bringing their business to Lubbock, and we drive through downtown and it's this, that kind of stereotypical, we got tumbleweeds blowing down Brick Street where you can't even walk or drive a vehicle because it's so rough. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And we want that red carpet rolled out for new businesses and people who want to come to Lubbock, and those young people leaving Texas Tech, that we do have a thriving environment downtown as our heart of our city.
But it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
It was out of sight, out of mind. And now I think that we have flipped the script.
Yeah.
And we've got Broadway going. I think that's an integral part of continuing the momentum downtown. And then now focusing our convention center, trying to bring in a convention center hotel, bringing business back downtown will also then trigger private development around that. And it just continues to grow from there.
If someone needs convincing, that's when you tag John Osborne in.
Yeah.
Right?
He's good at it.
Yeah,
he's good at it.
He is very good at it. Okay. What else? What other other than, I'm not going to say infrastructure because that's such a huge area. Other than the priorities that you mentioned, what services out there need more funding that are maybe overlooked?
So I think probably our most overlooked is Parks and Rec and some quality of life stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that I would love to put into the hands of the people. I think we're eventually going to have to do probably a quality of life bond. People keep asking. I think it's a smaller subset of people keep asking for swimming pools or maybe an aquatic center, better ball fields. And, and John did a good job out of Market Lubbock putting some money into some of our ball fields. Mm-hmm. But I do think that a lot of people, when they're not unhappy about the essential city services, that's probably the biggest complaint is we want some walking trails, and we want to, some of that's going to come with Lake 7 and some of our trail project out there. But, they want that quality of life stuff when there's nothing else to complain about because it's running pretty smoothly. They start focusing on the quality of their lives. And I think that is a great thing. But I also think there are a lot of taxpayers out there who don't want to pay for it. And so I think it's going to have to be put out there on a quality of life bond and let the citizens vote. Do you want to spend that kind of money and raise your taxes for a large aquatic center or a swimming pool or whatever it's going to be that's going to be on that bond, and then let them have the choice to do that.
Seems like we've always had this no group out there that just kind of holds us back from, there's that, what is it? I forget the name of it, the hierarchy of needs triangle.
Yep.
And it seems to me we were at the bottom of that about 5 years ago, but I feel real momentum towards, okay, we got the basic stuff. We're catching up on the roads. Now let's move on to some quality of life stuff. What needs to happen? Is it a marketing campaign to convince people that we're ready for that, or what? How do we get there?
I think there's gonna have to be some marketing around it. Obviously, council can't do that, other than I can get out and just speak my own personal feelings.
I know a guy.
Yeah, I know several that are really good at it. But I think the marketing aspect of it is in bringing the voters back. If that's something they want, they're gonna have to get out and vote. They cannot rely on their neighbor. They can't rely on everybody else because they're too busy. If you want it, you're gonna have to get out and vote for it, because that's the only way that things like that are gonna come. Because our job is, as a council member, is to keep your taxes as low as possible and provide essential city services. It is not my job to go out there and inflate the budget and put out $100 million worth of swimming pools and aquatics and all of that. If you want it, we'll put it out there for you to vote on it, but you have to do your job as a voter.
Tough job when you're working for free.
It is a tough job.
Now, remind folks, you don't take the money because you're a state employee.
That's right.
So you're $46 in the
the $25 a month does not come to me. So I have lost whatever that totals to at the end of the year, $300 and something bucks.
$1 a day.
Yeah, nothing.
Something like that.
Yeah, nothing.
Well, and like I said, sometimes it can be a thankless job. But thank you for your service.
Thanks for having me on.
I didn't get to this, but I'll ask you while we've got about a minute left here. What do you do for fun?
Oh my gosh, what do I do for fun? I love to sit on my back patio.
Okay.
I'm a very introverted person and love to just kind of stay at home. My husband says I love to spend money. Currently remodeling a bathroom, but I really like to sit outside and enjoy our weather here. I love to watch the sunset. Love to spend time with my family. I love to travel when I get a chance, which is not often. Favorite place here
to travel.
We just got back from the Bahamas this summer, and it was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, cool!
One of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen, and I've been to many.
Yeah, I've been there. Okay.
Love to go to Europe though. Would love to travel around and see some. I love history, so I'd love to go to Rome.
Mm-hmm. Got a niece that's studying abroad over there. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
Hope you'll come back and keep us in the loop. What's going on down there? Are you going to this chamber?
I am. The chamber luncheon today. Yep.
What a job. Great job Nick's doing over there.
He's doing a phenomenal job. Love him.
I heard it was sold out. The chamber event.
The chamber.
Chamber.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event.
It's hard to say. That'll do it for us today. Thanks again to Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Jennifer Wilson. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on the Wake Up Call. Until then, for Brennan Riker, I'm Benji Snead. Thanks for joining us.